Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Grade 9 Science. Our objective in this video is to trace the flow of blood from the heart to the lungs, from the lungs back to the heart. As you can see here on the board, we have a heart shape. Well, we all know that this is not the actual shape of our heart. You saw that in your activity, in your module. What's more, activity number 2, wherein you're going to color them red and blue. I hope you are done with that. Now, back to this, the pumping organ in our body is called the heart, and we have only one heart. It is as big as our fist, which is located at the center of our chest. A little part of it may extend a little on the left part, but it doesn't mean that the heart is located at the left. It's still at the center of our chest. Our heart has two main parts, the upper part and the lower part. The upper part is called the atria or auricles. The lower part, it's called ventricles. Divide them into right and left. We have now 4 chambers. So our heart has 4 chambers. These are right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. It's divided, right and left parts are divided by this called septum. And valves are there to ensure one-way flow of blood. We have 4 of these between right atrium and right ventricle. This is called tricuspid valve. Between left atrium and left ventricle, this is called the mitral valve. Between right ventricle and pulmonary artery, we have here the pulmonary valve. Between left ventricle and aorta, this valve here is called aortic valve. Valves are like gates that they can open and close. They open, allowing the blood to flow, and then close to ensure that there's only one-way flow of blood, so that blood will not flow backwards. Okay? Now, blood vessels carrying blood going towards the heart, they are called the veins, represented by these blue colors or blue arrows. Blood vessels containing blood away from the heart, going away from the heart, they are called arteries. And the smallest blood, they are called capillaries. They are the ones connected to our cells. Now, blood from the different parts of our body will pass through vena cava. We have 2 types of this, superior and inferior. Blood from the upper parts of our body will pass through superior vena cava, going to the right atrium. Blood from the lower parts of our body will pass through inferior vena cava, going to the right atrium. Of course, our heart has its own blood. It will pass through coronary sinus to the right atrium. When right and left atrium contracts, tricuspid valve will open and the blood will go down to the right ventricle. When right ventricle contracts, pulmonary valve will open and the blood will go to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. In the lungs, specifically in the alveoli, the blood will release carbon dioxide and receive oxygen. Blood containing oxygen is called oxygenated blood. So, oxygenated blood will go back to the heart in the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. When right atrium and left atrium contracts, the blood here in this chamber will go down to the left ventricle, of course with the help of the mitral valve. When left ventricle contracts, the blood now will go to the different parts of our body through aorta, which is the biggest artery in our body. Vena cava, the biggest vein in our body. Okay, I will repeat. Blood from the upper parts of our body will pass through superior vena cava. Blood from the lower parts of our body will pass through inferior vena cava, going to the right atrium. When this chamber contracts, the blood will go down to the right ventricle. When the right ventricle contracts, the blood will go to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. In the lungs, the blood will release carbon dioxide and receive oxygen. Oxygenated blood will go back to the heart through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. Left atrium contracts, blood will go down to the left ventricle. When the left ventricle contracts, the blood will go to the different parts of our body, to the different cells in our body through aorta. And the process repeats itself. That's how we use or get oxygen and distribute it to the different parts of our body. So you see the importance of our heart. Without this, the blood in our different parts of our bodies cannot reach all the parts of our bodies. So remember, or let's have a short review. How does respiratory and circulatory system work together? So we get our oxygen from the air. Air is a mixture of different gases. So we inhale. Air passes through our nose, our mouth, going to our nasal cavity, to pharynx, to larynx, to trachea, our windpipe, going to our lungs. There are two bronchi, from the bronchi to the bronchioles, to the air sacs or alveoli. From there, we have a lot of capillaries connected to our alveoli. They're going to release the blood in the capillaries. They're going to release carbon dioxide, which we're going to exhale later on, and it will receive oxygen. When it receives oxygen, the oxygenated blood now will go back to the heart, to the left atrium, left ventricle, to the different parts of our body through aorta. From the different cells, so gagamitin na ng mga cells natin yung oxygen, they're going to give also the carbon dioxide, which is not needed by our body. So kukunin din yun ng dugo. So the blood will carry them back to the heart through the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Right atrium to the right ventricle, back to the lungs. In the lungs, yung carbon dioxide, it will go to the alveoli, to the bronchioles, to the bronchi, to trachea, larynx, pharynx, to our mouth, or it can be also through our nose. And the process repeats itself. When our heart contracts, it's alternate. When the upper part is relaxing, ventricles, they contract. So, ganyan. So it's labbed up, labbed up, labbed up. I hope you have learned from this short video. See you next time.